He knocked me over. I landed on the dog bowl.
This one's wife. Everybody hates me, but why? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Hate is a strong emotion. There are some people who do hate this one's wife, but the majority are within the realms of not liking her. It's dislike, disgust, disapproval of the way that she behaves. It seems to me that it's a waste of time hating someone such as her. You really ought not to let her get under your skin to that extent. You would be much better confining your response to expressing your dislike of her, your disapproval, your disgust at the way that she conducts herself, which of course you're perfectly entitled to do by way of the expression of your opinion based upon the way that she behaves, as evidenced repeatedly. Nevertheless, of course, this one's wife wants to portray herself as being hated because that evokes a stronger response from her supporters, and it plays into the victim narrative that she so regularly utilises as a mid-range narcissist. You may recall that a little while ago that the Sussexes apparently had taken a decision to shift their modus operandi, to move away from whining about the treatment or perceived treatment from the royal family, to not play the victim and focus on other matters instead. Apparently there were lots of exciting things in the pipeline, according to this one's wife when she was interviewed on the red carpet last year. So far, we have had American Riviera Orchard, which has gone missing. See yesterday's excellent video about the public appeal if you want a good chortle in relation to that clusterfuck. She hasn't generated anything else, which of course the promised gain manipulation was utilised by this one's wife as part of that interview last year. And instead, it appears that the victim mentality is not only alive and well, as you'd expect from a mid-range narcissist, but it's being wheeled out again. Yes. Demonstrating her well-worn hypocrisy, claiming that we're not going to go down that route any longer, and then she goes down that route some longer. This time, the supine publication is In Style, which reports this one's wife is already anticipating the backlash for American Riviera Orchard. Now you might think, hang on a second, HG, isn't this from March when ARO first appeared? No, it's a recent article, very recent article, and it seems rather out of place to suggest that she's now anticipating a backlash, given the fact that there already has been one, and more in relation to ridicule as opposed to spewing hatred in her direction. The article explains, it seems that Prince Harry and this one's wife has sadly just come to expect backlash in everything they do. Well, they're probably not wrong with regard to that expectation, but do you know why it is? It's because you're a pair of talentless twats that have repeatedly got up the nose of right-thinking individuals with your whining and your victim mentality, your revisions of history, your lies, your gross exaggerations, and people have got fed up of it. Accordingly, you, this one's wife, and Harry, through your own conduct, have caused people to dislike you, which means that any time, any favour that might have existed for you, any giving you the benefit of the doubt, it's evaporated. People have become exhausted in relation to giving you a chance. And instead, based upon the way you keep behaving, the default position is, let's examine what this one's wife has done, and it's seen through the lens of dislike, disapproval, or ridicule. And the only person that has caused that, this one's wife, is you. Nobody set out thinking, oh, hang on a minute, so who's this woman who's married into the royal family? Do you know what? I'll automatically have a downer on her. I don't know the slightest about her, but, her eyes aren't the right place in her head. They don't seem quite right to me, so do you know what? I'll completely have a downer on her. Or, no, I don't like the way that she walks, so from now on, I'm going to have a complete downer on her. That just simply didn't happen. People watched her behaviour, and some saw it very quickly, others took longer. And as I've explained on numerous occasions, when you're dealing with a mid-range or lesser narcissist, you give it enough time, you give them enough rope, they hang themselves. And they demonstrate to you what they are, again and again and again. And so it has come to pass, in relation to this one's wife, she has done precisely the same. So that more and more people see what she is, see how she behaves, and thinks, I'm not going to be supportive of her. I'm not going to give her the benefit of the doubt. And therefore, she has caused people to adopt that mindset in relation to her, so that, unfortunately for her, whenever she does something, it's automatically viewed by a significant section of the populace through the lens of disapproval. And she's not going to be able to shift that, because she's put people in that entrenched position. Even were she able to do something which was actually, on the face of it, rather good, you'll still have lots of people that will criticise it because it's her. They didn't start off like that. They became like that as a consequence of what she's done. And this is another factor in relation to the behaviour of the narcissist, that ultimately less evolved narcissists such as this one's wife reap what they sow. By being toxic, by being unpleasant, by telling lies, by smearing, by barging in front of people, and generally being seen as an unpleasant and hostile individual, they then have that come back to bite them on the backside, because people don't want to know them, view them with scorn, and view them with disapproval. And this is what has happened to this one's wife. It is a typical outcome for a narcissist of her subtype. Thus, she and Harry have now come to expect backlash in everything they do. She, of course, isn't able to understand why that is. Her narcissism doesn't let her process it. Instead, it tells her, it's unfair. You haven't done anything wrong. You're a good person. These people just don't give you a chance. They never have done, you know. They're bigots and haters. As this one's wife prepares, the article continues to tell us, to launch her forthcoming lifestyle brand, hasn't that already happened? Albeit shittily. The Duchess reportedly feels that every move she makes is met with criticism as she continues to face scrutiny over her upcoming and previous projects. Well, she's accurate, at least in that. Much of what she does is met with criticism, and as I've just explained in detail, she has caused it, but she can't see that. Royal author Tom Quinn, for it is him again, told the Mirror that this one's wife now thinks anything she does will be heavily scrutinised, making her feel very much under siege. So what happened to not running with the victim mentality? Oh, she does. And this under siege mentality has originated as a consequence of the way that she has behaved. She has reached the point now where she thinks that anything and everything she does will be unfairly criticised. If she said she has reached the point now where she thinks that anything and everything she does will be criticised, that's more accurate. But she throws in the word unfair because her narcissism drives that victim mentality. Why are people criticising me? It's not right, it's not fair. Actually, it is fair criticism. With news that the couple's Netflix contracts may be under threat, along with the mockery that greeted the launch of her online brand, this one's wife feels very much under siege. The fact that both she and Harry are scrutinised for every move they make feels very unfair to her. Well, if you don't like it, live your life privately. If you don't want to be scrutinised, don't be a public figure. It goes with the territory. And also, if you don't want to be criticised, don't behave like the way that you do. But, of course, she can't help that, because her behaviour is driven by her narcissism. That isn't to defend her, it is simply a fact. Like her husband, she feels that people are unfairly picking on her. There's that victim mentality again. She cannot understand why people don't admire her work, Quinn continued. Well, people don't admire her work because, one, invariably what she produces is a bag of wank because she hasn't got any talent. It's either plagiarised from someone else, hastily thrown together, and on the face of it is a load of rubbish. Secondly, people don't admire her work because it's her. Because the way that she has behaved has generated such dislike. There can be individuals that you might not like, but you can still admire their talent. For instance, Cristiano Ronaldo is a good example of that. He's a fantastic footballer. You can't argue with that. His record-breaking achievements time and time again demonstrate what a formidable footballer he has been through a long career. But you don't necessarily like him because of his narcissistic prima donna behaviours, the sulking, the throwing himself around on the pitch, getting in a huff, etc. There are some people who adore him irrespective of those behaviours. But he's a good example of someone whereby he has clear talent, but you might not like him. With this one's wife, she suffers the double whammy of she has no talent and she's unlikable. So that's why people criticise her. It's not picking on her. It's simply a fact that she has caused. She has no talent and she's made herself unlikable by the way that she has behaved. The article continues by explaining that the former royals don't allow the outside noise to stop them from doing the things they're passionate about. Yada Yada went to the Pat Tillman Award, posed with Serena Williams, and talks about that. It continues by explaining, no matter how much hate they receive, the couple will always have each other. Not necessarily going to be the case. An individual called Darren Stanton, who's apparently a body language expert, states, the two always have each other's backs. Well, Harry might have hers, but she doesn't have his. This one's wife felt a huge sense of pride, respect and compassion for all Harry has done. Stanton explained of their ESPY Awards appearance. She still sees Harry as the love of her life, only when it's a respite period, and is happy to be by his side in his special moments. Indeed he is, for reasons that I've explained linked to her narcissism. Despite being very aware of all the criticism they receive from the public, this one's wife continues to be pleased with the reactions to her forthcoming brand. That's just propaganda. She isn't pleased. That's just something that's being said to manage the facade. How can you be pleased when the number of people that signed up to it hasn't been as anywhere near the level it should be for the level of exposure that she's had? It's going backwards in terms of numbers, and it doesn't offer anything, and it's been repeatedly ridiculed. This is a typical behaviour of the narcissist that rather than admitting the truth of what's occurring, they have to put some spin on it in order to make it seem like the plans are going super well when they're not. But this article, a recent one just a couple of days ago, is indicative of how the victim mentality continues to persist with regard to this one's wife, and how she attempts a pity play by suggesting, it's unfair that people dislike me or hate me. I don't understand why it is. This is because her narcissism doesn't allow her to understand it, and the more that she complains about it, the more unpopular it makes her, once again demonstrating the short-sighted nature of her narcissism. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.